Hi, I'm Sura. I am so excited to present Jan Pemberton and her work. I met Jan several years ago, and when I'm on the table with Jan, I experience pure love and magic. And the only way I can describe that, it doesn't look like much is happening because she just puts her hands underneath your head or your body, but it feels as though I'm a small tiny rosebud, and I'm having permission through her presence to gently open and grow. And I can literally feel my body expanding from the inside out, and it's deeply healing. And what I experienced during those sessions is a very deep sense of peace and love, and it's profound. So I've asked her to share a little bit with you, and I hope you enjoy.
Cheers. I'm Jan Pemberton, and I am a teacher of different energy modalities. The one that I use a lot is the biodynamic cranial sacral therapy. I also work with another one called magnified healing, and I use both of these with clients and with students. My main objective as a teacher is to empower my students and to empower them in the process of learning more of who they are and learning more of what happens and how to access different energy planes and move towards. On one level, we might call it ascension. On another level, we might call it enlightenment. And on another level, we might just call it health. One of my favorite tools for empowerment is grounding. I think it's a great place to start. It gives people instant gratification or awareness within their body of empowerment. So if it's okay, I'm just going to talk a little bit about grounding. When I'm working with my students or my clients, I like to invite them to first have an awareness of their spinal cord, the midline in their body. And the reason I do that is I think we all can understand that our nervous system can hold a charge. And so really what we're doing, a big piece of what we're doing with grounding, is helping that charge to dissipate. So what I'd like to do is have us just gently have an awareness of our midline, and then allow that awareness to gently go into the earth. Now, when we're talking about any of these tools for empowerment, we're really working with a felt sense. That's what's important. That's what we're starting to access. So imagination can be a very good way of starting that process. So just imagine that awareness of that ground right into the earth. Take a breath. That always helps. Just a sense of grounding, connection into the earth. And now what I'd like you to do to add to this is I'd like you to say hello to Mother Earth and to feel a resonant response back. For me, what I use is I'll find a place in my mind that of a memory of a place that is beautiful. It may have the deep blue water, may have the green lush, it may have cliffs, whatever works for you, but a place that feels resonant with you. Allow yourself to have that memory, and then just gently invite a hello to Mother Earth. And feel the hello coming back to you. That's being grounded. That starts the process of helping you to differentiate between what's yours and what's someone else's, and also to help you with keeping your emotional state clearer and your mental mind clearer. Grounding is so important. When we work with grounding, there are a couple of things that we're doing. We're allowing our nervous system the opportunity to discharge. When we talk about discharge, I don't know, I may be dating myself, but a capacitor, which is an electrical a piece of equipment that stores energy and is used a lot. Sometimes they're on your poles, sometimes those are transformers, sometimes they're capacitors. But where we are storing energy and then releasing it. And that is similar to how our nervous system can work. Has it ever felt like your nervous system has stored energy? When we ground, we're helping that energy to dissipate. And we're helping it to dissipate safely and gently, as opposed to going and dissipating it towards our neighbor or our loved ones. So the next tool of empowerment that I really like and find to be extremely useful is to bring our awareness more to the center of our head. Now, when we're out and about in the world, our mind is, we're either caught up in the future or we're dreaming and possessed by our past. You know, we're not in present time. And what I've found is that when I take my awareness from this part of my head and I move it back, you know, take your fingers right over your ears, kind of like this and kind of in the center. Let's just have our fingers here and here and an awareness of being in the center of our head. And when I do that, and I couple that with my ground, they naturally tie together at this point. I find that I move more clearly into present time. There's a reason why this takes us into present time. One of them is that this part of our brain is about planning, the prefrontal cortex. So when we're there, a lot of what we're doing is planning. And as we move back, that helps in that. Another reason why it takes us into present time has to do with where I'm actually having you go. And that's the third ventricle in the center of our head. And we could go on and on about a lot of what's involved with the third ventricle. But we're bringing our awareness more in line with who we are as a spiritual being. And this is lining us up with present time. We can't be in our spiritual nature when I'm always moving forward or I'm always dragging back. But when I am able to line up with my spiritual center and I move into present time, then there are other things that start to open for me. The guided meditations that I will use involve the grounding that we've already learned and the center of our head. So let's just gently take a moment, take a nice breath, and let that go. And maybe just allow yourself a couple of those, however it feels for you. And then gently bring your awareness to your ground, to your midline and your ground. We talked about the midline being the spine, however you want to term that, but just to have a felt sense of your ground being connected to the earth. Just feel that connection, that resonance. Yeah. And now, for a moment, what I'd like you to do is gently allow your awareness to slowly and gently move more to the center of your head. And you'll know you're there. You may start feeling a smile come on your face, because that is what can happen when we get there. Or you start to sense a dropping and a feeling of gentleness in your body. But just gently allow yourself to be with this, to become aware of that. And now, let's add the next piece. And what I'd like you to do is keeping your awareness as center as you can into your head, being aware of your ground, gently bring your awareness to your heart. So it might be that you just put your hand on your heart for a moment and just feel that breath. And imagine that you're breathing right into your heart. Gently bring that awareness back into the center of your head. Don't go to the front of your head. Keep that awareness of your ground and allow your heart to breathe. This is a very easy meditation to do, and it doesn't take that long, but it is something that we can use. We can use it when we're caught in traffic, where we've probably only taken just a couple minutes. But take a notice of how you feel in your body. What are you noticing? What are you aware of? Things start to slow down. Our nervous system starts to shift, and we start becoming more embodied and present. 2 minutes. I emphasize these tools for empowerment because they are the access point to help us as practitioner to actually start a therapeutic relationship with our client. And they do this because they allow us to start having presence. And that's one of those with a capital P. And as we work with that presence, things start to open up for our clients and things start to shift. And we're starting to access different fields, different dimensions, so to speak, or frequencies of energies, of dimension, of our expression as a human being. And as we start to access these deeper or different dimensions, different things can start to happen. What starts to happen is the letting go of duality and the opening more to a unity. We start, both as practitioner and as client, we start to have experiences in which patterns that we have felt are truly beloved friends, we start to have the availability of letting them go. And they melt, they shift. What seems to happen with that sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic, these are two thought of as opposing in a way, making it very general, nervous systems, they seem to come more into balance. They seem to settle. And the whole system of the client drops and settles quite a bit. And this is really quite profound. If we think about that, what do they say, 90 or 95% of all ailments in modern day man come from the autonomic nervous system, sympathetic and parasympathetic. So when that starts to settle and starts to have that balancing, that in and of itself is highly therapeutic. But it doesn't stop there. That's a gateway. That is the door opening for the system to actually start to access its deeper inner healing. And it's after this point that the system opens and starts to provide or show different patterns that can come forth and can gently be released. It's just awe-inspiring to be in relationship with a system that starts to shift these patterns that have been ingrained for so long, and it's done usually very, very gently and very, very lovingly, I guess is a way to put it also on that. So I do feel they're all connected, and I do feel the connection between all of them I would have to put back to that stillness. And that's really what holds all of them together, if that makes any sense. Because we're using the tools for empowerment, and so far we've talked about grounding, center of our head, and maybe a little bit of heart breathing, though we haven't done a lot, but that's good. And all of those really are helping us to access stillness within our being. And meditation is really what meditation is about accessing that stillness and opening that up. So we have that, and healing so clearly comes from the stillness. And as I'm saying, when I say stillness, you have to understand it's a stillness with a capital S. It's that depth, that well of stillness that holds us. And it's really quite profound when we come into relationship with it. So I believe that all of them are connected. So science is showing so much how the heart and the brain are connected. And it's amazing, really, what they're coming up with. You know, we have a neurological connection between the heart and the brain. The heart has a really strong neurological connection right to this part of the brain that I keep asking us to go to, and that thalamus. And we have a hormonal connection between the heart and the brain. The heart is an endocrine organ. Did you know that? It actually produces hormones. And so that has communication with the brain. We also have that electromagnetic field from the heart that totally surrounds us. It's like a tube torus. And that electromagnetic field is made up of photons. We think that because we think that we're in charge up here. But the truth of the matter is that the heart communicates with the brain. And when the heart communicates with the brain listens. But not only does it listen, it unilaterally obeys. What does that mean? It means that if I have a heart that is heavy, I have a heart that is filled with resentment, that is filled with fear, that is filled with anguish, that's what I'm going to be creating in my mind and creating in my experience of my life. But if I change my heart, grounding, center of the head, heart breath awareness, and when I start moving and shifting and start changing and allowing my heart to be lighter, that communication goes right back up, and I start creating a different life.
So this is interesting. Can you answer this people often say it's changing your thoughts. You need to change your thoughts. So you've taken it to change your thoughts, to change your heart.
Yes.
So can you talk about that? Because people think it's your thoughts.
Well, thoughts are very important in accessing the shifting of my heart. Okay, so what I can do is, and we all know this, and we all do this all the time. You know, how about that person that cut you off on the highway, and 2 days later you're back thinking about being cut off on the highway? Well, I went back to a memory, my thoughts, and I changed the way my heart was feeling. Okay, so that happened, and I have this conflux going on. But if I change also, so right now, remember joy. We all know joy. We've had joy. Can you experience that in your heart right now? As a felt sense. It's not intellectual. It's an emotion. And as we feel that, that's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah. So we have the power to go from that car cutting me off and I'm all flustered and blah, blah, blah and whatever, and it happened 3 days ago and I'm still going on it, to I can feel joy. And I can feel joy for no reason, because joy is. And I can have that be in my heart. With the heart, the feelings of the hearts. And the thoughts are important. You know, they're places to work with. The heart is so much more accessible if I hold my awareness, for instance, as capable, or allow. That's a really nice word. What does it feel like to take that word allow into your being? But this is what it starts to affect. Can you feel that? Ah. And then I have a smile. But this is where it came from. It didn't come from here. You know, when we work with the mind, we're really playing a game, because that's what the mind does. It really plays a game. When we are able to move our awareness back to the center of our head, and we know we're there when we stop thinking, and our mind stops rattling, and we're present. We're not asleep, we're present. When that happens, we're in something different. And that's the stillness of the mind that starts to come into relationship with the stillness of the heart. And when that happens, that's when we're moving more into the higher fourth and fifth dimension, which is a place where duality starts to fall away. On that. Very powerful. So working with changing our thoughts doesn't really happen unless we are able to access this center of the head. And that center of the head becomes connected to the heart. And that's when it happens. On that. So, wake up every morning. Say, oh, blessings be, what a gorgeous day. Feel it in your heart. Say you love yourself every day. Start using those tools. Those are powerful. And it starts opening this up.
And that's the healing force.
It is the healing force. It is the force of being a spiritual being in a body. That's really what we start to access with that. The equanimity. The unity. The stillness.